This poem is called the Barnsley Chop. It's part of my mining series. This mining memory is nearly 60 years old. It came back to me whilst reminiscing about my early days at the Hague Pit. When I started work, I left the ranks of being a child. I was now a bona fide wage earner. In those days, wage earners still living at home were expected to tip up their wage to the family pot, like the Boswell family in the TV series Bread. You were then given some back depending on your age. My first job had paid the astronomical amount of £2 10 shillings per week. I was given 10 shillings of it back. At the pit I earned £7 10 shillings and was given £1 back. With this newfound prosperity came little treats. Coming home for tea one day, I was presented with what my mum called a Barnsley Chop. A large chop with a piece of kidney attached. That chop stuck in my memory. The sad part of this tale came from an event that happened not long after I started. The heading men on the face had come back into the main gate to eat their bait. They sat on the side of the roadway, and a large stone fell and killed one of them. The colliers all walked out in sympathy with the deceased, and work on the unit stopped for the day as a mark of respect. Apart from the disasters when many men died, these small occurrences happened on a regular basis and were part of the risk of working in the mines. This poem is dedicated to these men, the single fatalities, who were mourned by their families, friends and colleagues, but were absorbed into the statistics of a dangerous occupation in the pit. The characters are fictional, but I'm sure many of you can relate to this story. 120 The Barnsley Chop. Jim and Mary sat at tea. Jim turned to her and smiled. Mary was to come to my memory, a lamb chop I had as a child. A lamb chop with a bit of kidney, though sometimes the chop was pork. My mother made it for me tea, a Barnsley chop, it melted on me fork. Mary put her head on his chest. 6 months married a coal miner's wife. She thought this man deserves the best. I'll bring his dream to life. As Jim went off to work early, Mary set her task for that day. A Barnsley chop that he loved dearly, cooked in his mother's way. She called at all the butcher's shops, but no chop could be found. Her head and shoulders dropped. There was nothing in the town. But as she was about to stop down a narrow street, she spied a little butcher's shop, its windows full of meat. A butcher was putting meat away. He raised his weary head. It was the end of a long day. "Have you got a Barnsley chop?" Mary said. He asked her, "Would that be pork, or would you like some lamb?" Laughing out loud, Mary choked, "I'll take one of each if I can." Jim, Harry and Bob were a heading team. Jim was standing at the face. On his shoulder was a metal beam. All's well, lifting it into place. A sudden move above him swung the girder round. Hitting him on the side of the head, it threw him to the ground. Jim was knocked unconscious, the heading filled with stone. Jim walked and looked about. He was all alone. Mary was watching for Jim at the garden gate. The Barnsley chop was nearly done. She hoped that he would not be late. She wanted to tell him of his son. For Mary had a secret. She was now ready to share. She tried so hard to keep it. A child was growing there. A mother she was to be, the mother of Jim's son. And Jim a father he, their family had begun. But as Mary stood and waited, anxiety filled her head. Her mood became frustrated. "Oh, hurry up, Jim," she said. Two figures walked up the street. It was Bob and Harry, slowly shuffling their feet. She started then to worry. Bob leant in towards her, telling her how Jim had died. The three of them huddled there. That is when she cried. Jim's cap lamp smashed to pieces, no light to show the way. He listened in the silence when a soft glow came his way. A bright light then approached him. Jim tried to stand. A voice said, "Don't struggle, Jim." The stranger offered him a hand. He said, "Let's get thee out of here. You know it's getting late. There's no need for you to fear. Love is waiting at the gate." Jim took the stranger's hand and felt an inner love. "I've come to take thee home," he said, when a light shone from above. As they reached heaven's door, Jim felt unconditional love. All his family who had gone before welcomed him above. Jim's guide left him there. "They'll look after thee. A grand day to come up here. It's Barnsley Chops for tea." Back on earth, Mary tried to raise young James to be like Jim, keeping him constantly at her side. She swore there'll be no pit for him. Thank you.